Hello, hello. We are back for another Wet Ink Wednesday, and this one will be the first one of 2024. And so I thought, what better way to do that than to bring on the other half of Wet Ink Games, Brandon. Hey,
Hey,
and
um,
well, go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say, man, it's really good to be here.
Huh,
Uh, things have
it's
been very, very busy, and I know you've been cranking these things out.
oh well, for sure, for sure. And I mean, we're gonna get into like the plan. This is not an interview, right? This is a trialing a new format, right? This is the quarterly report, I guess. I don't know. We didn't come up with a name for it. But yeah, we just want to talk to you, the viewers,
name
about
forthcoming.
what Wet Ink has planned for the early part of 2024. Um, so we're going to talk about it. Yeah, but like we're recording this in at the end of January, at the end of December 2023. So we're both kind of like tired and it's
Very
been a
much.
long year. It's been a long year. It's been a busy year. It's been an eventful year, both in good ways and less spectacular ways. And if you know us, you've heard about some of that. We won't get into it too much, I don't believe, but I don't know. It's the energy is I don't know. We might have a certain sort of energy to this conversation. Uh, Anyway, I thought we would start. Is there anything you want to say, Brandon, about like 2023 first off before we get into like we have identified some topics to discuss.
2023 has been a whirlwind, and uh, it it looks like it's gonna close out strong. But again, whew, done done a lot of things, been to a lot of cons, and
And we did.
we're only gonna keep looking to move forward.
Yeah, I haven't assembled a exhaustive list of stats, but we went to
Oh,
6 conventions this year, which is the biggest, the most that Wet Ink has gone to in one year before. And sometimes that felt like two or three too many.
absolutely.
Sometimes, especially on the last day of each one, it was like this one was too many. Um, yeah. So what? But having gone to the cons, what is? It's fun to shop at a con. What's
Love to
the
shop.
number? What's the number like one thing that you came home with? What's the number one game you came home with from a con or from Kickstarter?
Oof.
What got delivered this year? What's been your product of the year for you personally?
Ooh. So I was very excited at Gen Con to finally pick up my copy of Moonlight on Roseville Beach. Um,
Yes.
yeah, Richard Ruane did this, our Rook Studio. They recently did a Kickstarter for a hardcover version of this. I love it so much that I also backed that to get the hardcover of it.
Sure.
Um, it's a great product. The it sticking with the pulp art throughout the entire book. It is so much a labor of love for Richard. It won an Emmy this year, and rightfully so. And we've the cool thing was that also at Gen Con, after I had purchased this, I was able to meet Richard face to face, and we've hung out a couple times at various cons, and yeah, he's just a great guy and deserves every success that he can get. But that one was by far my number one. I do have an honorable mention.
Oh,
I've
please. Please
I've
honor
been
it with a mention.
I've been leaning into some indie games, trying to look at what other designers, what other companies are doing. And Indie Press Revolution is obviously a treasure trove of that. Itch is a treasure trove of that.
Sure.
But you can go and dig these up. Um, but also at Gen Con, I picked up this game called Meanwhile in the Subway.
Hmm.
Um, and as someone who used to live in New Jersey and would frequent New York and would ride the NJ Path in, um, you know, uh, I uh, I have a familiarity with the subway, and the great thing about this is it actually the format of it folds out like a subway map. Whoop, as you go through and tell your adventure at every stop, everything along the way. I just think it's such a cool design. It's a again RPG that folds up into this. There's a lot of gameplay in this little packet that you can just take and throw in your bag and spread out on a table and just dive in and have some fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember when you came back to the booth with that at Gen Con, and it was like, what is this? Is it? And
I
I don't know. It
was
it's
like, it's
a
so cool.
well, it's such an object, you know. It's like all of those. I don't know. I was talking to somebody today about like a upcoming project, and I'm like, we like to have books. Like one of the Wet Ink Games themes is like we like to have a book that looks like it came from the world in which the game is set in, you know.
Right.
And so yeah, Subway map and it's all Subway stuff is that's like I appreciate that about that game, you know.
Oh, and also like shout out, and please if I slaughter the name, it's Kome Martin is the designer uh of this game. Yeah, so about 2 hours, uh, you know, you play 4 to 6 people. So
Nice, nice. So before we went to cons this year, I had a list. I prioritized all the RPGs that I so like I have like a RPGs that I knew existed that I could buy at all of these cons. And I was
yeah.
like, so this is my number one that I want to get. I will get that one first. So I bought this game here at Origins because that was the first con we went to this year. First real con. Uh, that other one I went to, I won't even mention it. But the uh, but then so then I have an honorable mention as well. But anyway, it's Laurie O'Connell did this game called Hieronymus,
Oh yes.
which is like it's like a perfect pitch to me. I'm like,
Yeah.
it turns the famous Hieronymus Bosch paintings into a hex crawl adventure where like they're all gridded out like in DE, you know, or D3, you can meet, you know, the hungry sea demon. And here in E3, it's some mercenaries, they're burning a city, you know, whatever. It's all statted out. And so like you're supposed to play with like you're moving on the map and like what do you meet? And like this is the weird stuff that's going on. It's a Hieronymus Bosch painting. Why is that Birdman eating that other person? And it's like, I mean, here's some suggestions about how to deal with that and stuff like that. It's pretty wild idea, I think, to turn these paintings into a hex map, but it definitely was for me. And so I had to go get it, and I enjoyed it a lot to read it. And I should call up Laurie O'Connell and ask them to explain themselves. That's a whole other sidebar about the year in review is all the videos I've been doing. Um, my honorable mention is digital only, so maybe I'll remember to put a picture of it up here
Well,
at the video at this part.
I do want to point out one of my favorite things that I've seen on the internet this year is related to Hieronymus Bosch. It was uh someone who took the medieval music notation, the neumes, the pneumatic notation, that was drawn on someone's butt,
Oh yeah,
and and
the
they
Bosch
took that.
butt music.
Yeah, and they were like, here it is, this is what it would sound like, and they they performed the Hieronymus Bosch butt music, and I was
Uh-huh.
like,
It it sounds weird
it
and
sounds weird.
pretty awesome. Like
Well,
just
Bosch
put
was not a he was not a musician, but it yeah.
I no doubt there's a 10-hour version of it on the internet that you
No
could
doubt.
put on for your workday. Um,
I won't, but I
you
bet.
she could, you could. Well, anyway, yeah, I'm familiar with this phenomenon from the internet. Thank you, internet.
Thank you.
Um,
That's right.
so my honorable mention for this is one that I didn't know existed until I found it. So it was not prioritized early in the year, but it's Jacqueline Brick's I Have No Railgun and I Must Scream, one
Oh
of my
my
top
gosh.
games of the year, a solo game set in one of those animes where you're having teenagers fight giant robots, except you're not one of those teenagers. You're the sibling of one of those teenagers. So you're on the home front hearing the distant news from the front and kind of journaling about it. And as life disintegrates on the home front, as well as you hear the news of like the progress of the war. Um, Tons of prompts, very evocative, hit me right where I was living this year when I played it. So that's uh, definitely one of my top games of the year, but it does not exist as a physical product, therefore is my honorable mention instead.
I was so glad to meet them at PAX this year.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Got got my sticker for my PAX badge for the
I know.
Jack's
Oh,
Unplugged.
the Jackson plug sticker. That was absolute choice. Absolute
Yeah, Jacqueline
choice.
Brick, they know what they're doing.
Uh, yes. Speaking of people that I should call up and have on an interview in the future. Um,
100.
uh, well, great. Any other things you want to say about the year, games played, cons went to, like before we move on to our next sort of we talked about 2023, so we need to move on to talking about 2024. So, but
I
final
will say
thoughts?
the other there were a couple other games from friends that I was very excited to pick up as well throughout the year.
Hmm.
One is Gutter Punk by John
Mm-hmm.
Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
It was his first product. It's a fun product. And really leans into punk lifestyle, and as you go through and you play punk,
Yeah.
standing up against systems of oppression. Also standing up against systems of oppression, there was a game that by our friends from the IGDN who came out with the Means of Magic.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. From
Means of
Wannabe
Magic
Games.
from
Justin
Wannabe.
Alex from Wannabe Games.
And again, that one I was supposed to get delivered by Kickstarter, but then I saw Alex at a con. He goes, "Hey, here you go. I'm hand delivering." And I said, "Thank you." Um, so yes, Means of Magic, and it Wannabe Games does so much fun stuff. Um, the other game that I got from them was called Three Threads.
Yeah.
And I got that. I
Well, you
got that
got,
at,
and they did More Corp this year too, which I know you loved More
and they
Corp.
did more Corp. Gosh,
Yeah.
yeah, like, yeah. But yes, so many things that Wannabe Games has done. They're also hitting on all cylinders. So I want to shout them out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right,
Uh,
now I'm gonna shut up.
yeah, I think my other big thing for the year in review is sort of like I've done a lot of interviews this year. Like I really
Yeah.
enjoyed doing some interviews at conventions last year. And those all went up on the IGDN channel. And I was like, I really like this, but I want to have more than 5 minutes with somebody. So this year I've tried with several different styles. Like we've done a lot of Wet Ink Wednesdays, promoting stuff that people are working on with us. I've started in the latter part of the year, the Other Ink Thursdays, um, talking to people who aren't working on a Wet Ink Games published product, but I still want to talk to them. Um, I did game jams at
Oh, those are
conventions
so.
this year rather than interviews. And inspired by Daniel Kwan and the Asians Represent doing the 15-minute game jams. I was like, this is a great format. I want to do the same thing. And so I've recorded, I don't know, about 7 of them this year, I think. Um, and they're a lot of fun to do, a lot of fun to, and one has resulted in an actual game you can download on the internet. So, so far.
So
Uh,
far, and one may result in a physical product. in the future.
Oh, sure, sure. I mean, who knows what will happen in the future. But yeah, doing the work for the Wedding Games channel, where you where you are watching this, um, has been a source of real joy for me this year. And I don't know, really, I feel connected to the industry, and the peers that we have in the industry and the friends we have in the industry, in a way that even more so than
Yeah, I think
than in previous years. So
the we as a company have really tried a bunch of new things this year. Like we said earlier, going to more cons. We were trying some different ones outside of the main three that we go to. But we also submitted a product for Free RPG Day towards the
oh
beginning of the
yeah, that
year,
was a totally new thing for us this year.
and which we loved it. We got great feedback on our Heckin' Good Doggo's Adventure, which you can download for free on Drive Through RPG if you missed out. But physical copies, I mean, we did it for a drive through or for Free RPG Day, and now it's gone. But we're gonna participate again um, coming up this year. So
Yep.
um, I really enjoyed kind of stretching our legs and trying new things, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the highlight of the year. I mean, there's a lot of highlights. A lot of highlights to 2023.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad that we took this little few minutes to talk about 2023, because it does feel like it's been a lot of work and a lot of um kind of taking some punches a little bit throughout the year, but also there were some highlights, and it is nice to remember the highlights.
Yeah.
So 2024, Brandon. Uh,
2024.
what? So let's give an update. Some of our people, most of the people who are watching this will probably have backed some sort of project in the last couple of years, and two of those projects have been uh, having some. Well, I mean, really, it's one product has a logistics delay, and then that then caused it was dependent on the other project having a design delay solved, and so once the design delay was solved, then the logistics delay on the other project can now be solved, and then so they're both going to come in together at the same time. And this isn't anyone's fault. It's just the way that production happens. This is part of managing multiple
Yeah.
projects at once, and it's just the way it is. So anyway,
Yeah. When
tell the
with
people the good news.
Yeah, well, with the best of intentions, right? You sit there and say, okay, well, we can maximize, um, we can maintain our low costs of our products if we, do more efficient shipping. If we end up, shipping everything consolidated into one freight container. Um, so we had aspirations of doing that for multiple things that were pretty much already done. Never Going Home dice, Never Going Home cards were already done. They were really reprints,
Well,
and we
they were
ended up
supposed to be
making
that
them
easy.
a right. But we were also, instead of just having loose dice in a bag, we were putting them in a clamshell with art and everything. So there was a little bit of stuff there, but there was a logistics issue with the dice themselves, and got that resolved. But as Matt said, being able to take those and get the logistics issue solved, so when we do dice in the future, we already know exactly what we're doing with those. Um, and then same thing with the cards. We already have our SKUs and everything. We laid out our box for commercial and retail distribution. So you'll be able to pick up our cards and dice, hopefully at your friendly local game store, and from us at conventions, and from all over the place. That's the dream. Um, but also, we were able to, when we did that, it held up um, our card-based RPG Home, which was practically done. Right, the the cards and the card packs and the boxes and everything was there. It was ready to go. And it was already printing when we were still trying to figure out what to do with some of the dice. We got all that worked out. It's all on a boat. It left the factory on the 15th of December, and it's estimated to be in the U.S. On the 13th of January. Fingers crossed.
That's right, right.
Um,
Fingers and toes crossed.
that's right. 13th of January, in which case it's just going to go right to our fulfillment service, and be all of those will be in the hands of backers. So
Right. So
it's
Home, which has been
Home,
waiting to be fulfilled for a while, and
Psychic
Psychic
Kids,
Kids, which is the other one that has we also did dice and cards for, that also were part of this whole process of unifying the presentation of all of our dice and card sets.
and now that we have the dice and cards for Never Going Home, as soon as those books go through they're the end of layout,
Right.
then those go to the printer, and those will be next in that queue. That's awesome. We're so excited to clear that log jam,
Right.
because we have so much awesome stuff coming down the pipe.
Right. It's been sort of a weight over all of 2023, is this project that, I mean, it's only been, it's now been more than a year since Home was funded, but
Right.
that is not, it's later than we wanted, obviously, but it's not necessarily like out of all proportion to how Kickstarters happen.
Right.
Um, so it'll be, 14, 15 months between the funding and the delivery, which is, again, no, yeah, I mean, which is more than you want, but, it's what happened with that project. So, and Psychic Kids is another one that should have, quote unquote, should have, in an ideal world, gone around much faster, but it has been delayed by this unified shipping effort that we've made to deliver these high quality products. So
Yeah.
it'll be nice to get those both fulfilled, out of the queue, to the backers who want their games. Obviously you want your games.
Oh yeah. We have
And then Never Going Home will be right behind. So,
yep, Garbage and Glory right behind.
well,
That's
as right behind as it can get, right?
right.
So
That's
yeah.
the thing. Like, once the you know from the creative director perspective, Matt, um, you know, how that goes. Like, you your nose down on something, trying to burn through it so it can go to the next phase. Then you can just pick up the next chunk, and
Well,
it's just crossing it off the to-do list, right?
yeah. I have learned more this year about how my own method of working works, and there's everybody involved in the process might be the slow wheel sometimes, and I feel like I've definitely been the slow wheel sometimes when I'm like, I can't think about that because I got to finish this, and then that other thing is
Oh, yeah.
waiting because I can't. I've only got so much like RAM in my brain, and I have to one program. I have to close the one program before I can get the new data into active memory.
Yeah.
To make a bad analogy about the squishy chemical signals that operate inside the human skull, but
Right.
um,
Your meat computer and a pile in your bone mag.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's yeah.
Anyway,
There's a
it's
lot a lot going on, and you're right. Like, every once in a while, in any type of creative endeavor, um you think you got all the ducks in a row. And the great thing about doing so many projects and having so many things under our belt is we don't necessarily let things that may have previously been I don't want to say insurmountable, but a larger um drain on resources. We don't let that stop us, like we would have 10 years ago. We we go through and we're like, okay, well, we've seen this before. We have resources that we can touch base with and say, okay, well, what have you seen in this industry?
Sure.
We have contacts at all of our factories and our printers and in graphic design. Like it's one of those things where, um, you know, if we don't have the answer, we know someone who has the answer.
Right, right. We've built a team of contacts, and we're still pretty far away from being able to make things as fast as we would like to.
Yeah.
But I think we're doing okay, I think, for a company of our size, it seems.
And one thing I love about the indie sphere is that, um, with very rare exception, um, it is a open book. People
Oh yeah, yeah.
they all want to help each other succeed. You
Oh,
know,
that was one of my I don't know if we have to say the names, but that was one of I to go back to year in review. Like that was like one of my favorite moments this year when we were at one of the cons and you were like, "Wait, who's in charge of this operation? Because I have like concerns about these prices that I'm seeing." And then like you had a little sidebar with that person, and they like gave you all the answers that you were looking for, and you're like,
I was
"Okay,
like, all
great.
right.
I'm glad you thought about it all. Like if the numbers work out on your end, I'm glad you're happy with them. Like it didn't make sense to me, but you've got different answers than I expected. Great. Like
And it was
good luck. Good luck,
and it's gonna
and
be, if things work out for that company, it's gonna be amazing. So good for
right.
them, good on them. I'm glad that they thought through some of those things. But sure, being able to walk around and have conversations and even have people come up to us at conventions and say, how long have you guys been doing this?
Right.
How many products do you try to put out? What do they just ask us questions, and we're like, yeah, we'll we'll, we'll tell you, we'll help in any way we can. So
Yeah.
anyway,
That's right.
ta
We try to like yeah, try to be an open book because it's not like there's no secrets, right? There's I don't know. It's a small still we're the small segment of the industry, right? No reason to be secretive about what we're up to.
it's yeah, it's too small of an industry to be a jerk.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So some things are on the boat.
Oh yeah.
What's coming next? What are we going to do next? I mean, we've
Well,
announced what we're doing next. We announced what we were doing next a long time ago, but let's talk about what we're doing next.
but yeah, in 2024, our first project, which is gonna launch in the middle of January, it's called Zero Day War. It is our first foray into a card game, or kind of a board game. It's, you have cards in your hand. You actually
Not a role playing game.
make a grid of cards on the table, not using an actual fold out board, but you know, and but it's definitely not a role play game. It's not
Right.
an RPG. Um, Now the creator has visions of an RPG in that universe, and um, the but ultimately the game itself, it is done. It is at a uh really, we do the Kickstarter, so we know uh how many units we need to print. Um, but the art is done. It was done by a totally lovely artist, Lucy Shearer, who we met at Origins. It's absolutely gorgeous. The cover is stunning. Um, the gameplay is a lot of fun. It's all cyber hacking. Uh, there's been an incident where a solar flare has caused security measures to go down on the sysnet, and then you, as a hacker, are trying to steal as much information as possible before security measures come back up. So gameplay takes about 15 minutes, um, and it's a fun, quick game, and we're really looking forward to that. We
Yeah, and
have
this is
yeah.
Matthias Bonici is the designer of the game.
Yep.
Designed several other games, and this one was kind of kicking around, hadn't been sold to a producer yet. And obviously, we've been working with Matthias for a couple years now as kind of our primary graphic designer.
Yeah.
So, when he's like, "Hey, I got a game for you guys," we're like, "Ooh, tell us more," Uh,
And it's yeah.
and it's a solid game. Um, and I think it's like, I mean, we've said this, and I don't think it's like the setting is cool, but it's not like the gameplay is not like in reinventing any sort of wheels, right? I mean, this is or turning over new leaves, right? This is like it's a board, it's a card game of action tile adjacency measuring, and I mean, like, I'm obviously now trying to sell it short after you tried to blow it up or to big it up, but like the thing is like this is a good feels like a good project for us because we know Matthias, he's doing the layout on his own game, like he's intimately involved with the project. This is somebody who's like helped define the look of the last, I don't know, when did he come on to the project? He Psychic Kids, and he's working on Garbage and Glory. He did
Zhongsha, he did
oh
all
right,
the
he
layout for
that's
Zhongsha
that's when he
Banquet.
came on with Zhangshi. So like
Yep.
he's helped really define the look of our games over the last few years. So it's not some random person. It feels like the right choice to be like, you haven't sold this game yet. We've got a good relationship. Let's make this happen together. And bringing in Lucy to do the art.
Oh, yeah.
She's got. I'm going to try to remember again to put some pictures up on this video before I upload it. But like, it's just so. It's like all these like wild pastel combinations of like complementary colors, and like it looks very different from like sort of a it's not dour space
Oh yeah.
like you get so much of in so many games. This is a bright colorful space, and that's a great it'll be a great table presence and stuff like that. So we're looking forward to seeing this one um
Yeah. I
all
think one
all
of the
put
things
together.
I love about it is, as you said, I mean, it's not reinventing the wheel, but then again, it doesn't have to. I think so many games
Sure.
that you see crowdfunded fall into a trap where they try to do something completely new, and innovative, and it doesn't necessarily work. It kind of falls short. Now, it's not always the case. So you see some really really cool things. However, that's why deck building has been a thing forever. Deck building is it's a
It's a
it's
very solid
a,
mechanic
a very solid format, right? But I love
mechanism.
how I love what Matthias has done with this, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. People are going to really enjoy it. So we'll have that this year because, like I said, it's really just once the funding period is done, we send that to print.
Right.
Here you go. We need this many units,
Right.
and it's done.
That is our
Uh,
plan for having this one done and available come, you know, later in the year.
yep. Hopefully, things go well, and it can be we can have it at some of the cons in the later half of the year.
Yep.
That's the dream.
That's the dream.
Um, yeah, we have and we mentioned card games and stuff. We're not stepping away from RPGs in any stretch of the imagination. We just have some card games that people have pitched us, and we think are a lot of fun and visually appealing. They meet uh, our business our business style, right? We want to be an art forward company. We want
Mhm.
things to have awesome table presence. We've also announced a game called Herd. It's a
Yep.
dinosaur card game. The art is stunning, and that's going through development right now, and we'll see that later. Um, and then towards the sometime later this year, we've also announced Fast Cars and Family, our RPG. Excuse me, Sen Fung Lim and Doug Lewandowski. Um, and that game is going to be a lot of fun. The cover art is done. Stephen Cummings, who was the artist for Wayward and uh, worked with Jim Zub on Wayward. He's done stuff all over and yeah, we asked him if he had the opportunity or availability to do some art for us, and he did the cover for that, and it's everything I wanted and more. Um,
That'll be an RPG. That'll be our big RPG
yes,
of 2020 of 2024 will be Fast Cars and Family. It uses the +1 system like a lot of our other RPGs do. It'll look, it'll fit on your shelf. For those of you collecting all the +1 games, it'll fit on the shelf
yep,
with Heckin' Good Doggos and Garbage and Glory and
exciting
Tenebria.
games.
It'll fit. It'll be like that. Obviously having famed RPG designer Doug Lewandowski and famed board game designer and sometimes RPG designer Sengfung Lim. We're gonna unleash them and their
Just
pure creativity
go
to
do
like
it.
make the
Hmm.
+1 system work in this setting. We've had a lot of conversations already, obviously, about it, but the exactly what's in store for the card mechanics, the dice mechanics are yet to be fully determined. But that is I'm like rubbing my hands
Yeah,
together to see like what they do with it because I mean they're both such creative powerhouses in their own right, and to put them
yeah,
together and tell them to the take the chucks out, race it as hard as you can.
right.
This will be fun to see how that
Quarter
comes to
mile at a time,
fruition.
man.
What?
Quarter mile at a time.
That's right. That's right.
Um, but yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. We have some reprints. That's the thing. Being a creatures of our own success. We are, um, we have to reprint books. So some
Sure.
things, some Never Going Home books are going to go back in print. Into the Weird and Wild is going back into print, which will be at Indie Press Revolution, and we'll also have it at our own storefront. The So we'll have that, and then Juncture Blood in the Banquet Hall is going to go and be reprinted sometime this year as well. Potentially some new material for those of you who backed and supported the original project. We'll have some fun new material that will fit in your box. That's the goal. Fit in the box that you have, even though that box is packed full of stuff. But we want you to not miss out and still have everything or have the ability to get everything.
Nice. Nice.
Part of that. So yeah, so we have a bunch of stuff in the early part of the year, but really it's get things from point A to point B and try new things. You know, uh, and every day we will hear from somebody. I say every day, but that's a slight exaggeration. We'll hear from from somebody either um, wanting to pitch a game or a product, and we have to see if it fits both our timetable and fits our vision, um, and kind of what we want to do as a company. And
Yeah.
um, we've done. I want to give you an opportunity as a creative director to kind of talk about the four kind of things that
Oh, sure.
we're looking at.
Yeah. I mean, this is something that we've really developed. I mean, people who I'm sure I think this has come up before, maybe now not on this particular channel, but we are both. I think identify ourselves as Midwesterners, right? You don't identify yourself as a Southerner, right, Brandon?
No, it's the upper South.
Upper South, yeah.
The upper
Uh,
South, but yeah,
and
Midwest.
and I'm born in Michigan, so I definitely feel Midwestern, even though I've lived in Louisville longer than most places. Um, anyway, the point of the joke is that we don't really fly anywhere. We drive places, even if it's like 8 to 10 hours, 12 hours away. And so, like, these turn into extremely long business meetings for you and I, Brandon.
Right.
Um, so anyway, all of these business meetings that we've had over the last couple of years, these long extended business meetings through Illinois and Ohio and West Virginia and Pennsylvania. Um, we've really developed like four kind of areas that we want to focus on as wet ink for the next couple of years. One being the +1 system. This is our kind of our bread and butter. It's kind of like Never Going Home has been it's the first +1 game. It's kind of been what we have called our flagship game for a while. The Kickstarter that we ran in late spring, early summer of 2023 is kind of the final books. It'll bring the series out to 10 books. We don't really plan to make more books beyond that, so it's sort of that's a complete series now. But we're going to keep making plus one games, like never go or the Fast Cars and Family, like we just talked about. We've got we talked about Lucas's thing, right? We talked about that. We've announced that officially. Did we officially announce that?
Uh, I don't think so, but we can.
Yeah, so we'll be working with Lucas Zellers as well. He's developing a plus one game for the future. So we're still developing plus one. That's our first like core area, the plus one game system. The dice are always the same. The cards always do something different. It's it's great. It's great. We love it. Plus one.
Yep.
Uh, the second area that we've been focusing on is the system agnostic source book. So far, that represents our two Into the Weird and Into books, the Into the Weird and Wild, Into the Sesson Citadel, both partnerships with Feral Indie Studios. Charlie and Alex are great. We've conned with them all year, or most of the year, at the three big ones of the year anyway. And wonderful people, super creative. So happy to be part of like bringing those books out to a wider audience. And they are working on a third one, which we'll also be publishing sometime in the future. But we've been in talks. We've been talking to a lot of people. We might have other system agnostic source books that wouldn't necessarily fit into those same books, but into a sort of a product line that we could have about here's something else. Take this book, put the content into the game you're already playing, whatever game that is.
Right.
Third area of focus is Shang-Chi and Home. That's the RPG in a box. Again, we're having conversations with other people. Other things are in development that might come out from us in the future, but it's a boxed experience. You get everything you need inside, whether that's the dice and the Hmong cards and the board and the erasable character sheets like in Shang-Chi, or it's all of the prompt cards and the expansion packs and stuff like Home. Like whatever you'll need to play the game will be in a box, and it is there. It is. It's all in a box. An RPG. And then this fourth area that we're breaking into this year is the card games, board games area of the market. We haven't done that before. We're hoping to do it like Brandon said earlier, like based on the strength of what we've done in 2020 up to now, of all the strength that we built as a company, of like the people we've known, the industry contacts that we have, the artists pool that we've drawn from in the past. We're going to be trying to apply the same principles to board games and card games. And so these four things are kind of what we really feel are what we will be focusing on for the next couple of years at least. And there's so many other games that fall outside of that remit, and we can't publish them all. We can't publish them all.
Right.
It's a crowded industry. There's lots of other people who are working in this industry, and we will sing the praises of all the good products, whether they be. But for Wet Ink, those are the four core areas that we're going to really focus on, and so that what we're doing in 2024 represents continuation of those things. Plus one, continuing the conversations about the system agnostic, working in the RPG in a box genre, and now introducing card games and board games. So
Yep. Yeah. So we're really looking forward to that. We've, like I said, we have people who reach out to us a lot. We've had to go through and really narrow down our focus. As Matt said, we can't publish them all, but we can point people in the direction of some other companies, and we've done that in the past as well. And sometimes there are some really excellent ideas and really excellent products out there that you see as someone who receives a pitch, and you're like, man, I really would love to buy that and own that, but I
right,
don't want to publish it.
right.
So
Right. Yeah, that's, yeah, that sounds like a great game, but not for me as a publisher. It's a very hard thing to have to say to somebody that you like.
Sounds like a great game for me as a player, but not as a publisher. That's right.
Right. Right.
So anyway, so yeah, um, we have a lot of really cool stuff coming, and I'm just really excited to get it out. You know, that it's been a pretty crazy year just in general, just with all the stuff we had mentioned. You know, we had some family issues. My dad recently passed, which has impacted, you know, not only, you know, desire to want to do things, but
Yeah.
also the, you know, the resources. You know, I only have so much time, and I would have rather spent it with family. No offense, guys. I
Abs-
love you guys.
right.
Um,
Perfectly
but yeah,
understandable.
it's just you know, we got to move forward. You know, my dad was a huge proponent and a big supporter of Wet Ink as a company, and just always wanted to know whenever we went to a convention how our convention went. You know, what people were looking at whenever we would have new products out, stuff like that. He was just, you know, he was not a gamer by any stretch of the imagination, but he really wanted us to succeed, and so, you know, keep on keeping on.
That's right. That's right. I know it, it back at our first game. I mean, this applies to my father as well. Like they're like cutting, like, not that not that my dad's not that they're both like capable of using technology, but I think they were both like, I don't know what Kickstarter is, but I will write you a check. Like back when we were
Right.
doing our first Kickstarters, right? They're like, you want money? Great, here's some money. But like, I don't, I know that was, I believe that was true of your dad, but I
Yeah,
think my dad actually did create a Kickstarter account
that's
uh,
right.
to send us some early support. But uh, just to, as evidence of what Brandon says, you know, like uh, from our first Kickstarter, getting that support from good old dad.
Yep, that's right.
All right.
Oh,
Well, Brandon, I think we've talked about all the things that we've had on our list to talk about. Uh, is there anything else that you want to say to the people watching this in you know, January of 2024?
I mean, again, thanks for all the support and the patience. We know that there's been some things, some hiccups and roadblocks along the way, but again, we could not do any of the stuff that we do without you all, without the people who support us, without the people who, you know, spread the word of the games that we make and, you know, play them at conventions or, um, you know, we couldn't do it without you guys. So, we really value your support. We cherish your support actually, and I think going forward, that's only going to be more valuable as we you know, try new things. You know, and not everything is going to be an absolute banger, but we're, as long as we do it with you know, the right things in mind, the right core values in mind. I think we're going to be successful. People are going to see that and know us as a company of people with good moral footing, and we want to keep on keeping on.
Yeah. Yeah. So look for us at conventions in 2024. We may go to more. We may go to
Yeah.
more than we went to in 2023, and we'll certainly here we'll be talking to the creators on this channel throughout the year, and hopefully we'll have regular updates quarterly at least with Brandon and I having a chat like this. So yeah, let us know if you liked this format, if you watched it, uh, and even if you don't watch it, you know, give it a like so you know, the algorithms approve. uh, Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your support. Happy 2024. Let's keep on keeping
Is
on.
this where I bang pots and pans for New Year's?
Sure, you can do it.
Bang bang.
Bang, 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 bang. Thanks for
Uh,
joining me today, Brandon.
all right, thanks.